or if you can do both.
All right. Good morning. This is our first window side chat. This is Coach Nilima Palakar coming to you on this lovely, gloomy but lovely Thursday morning. I am very excited to stretch myself into doing these live videos every week. My goal is to bring on different sisters who have pushed themselves, beyond their regular life goals and, done something incredible in all different walks of life. So I'm very happy and pleased to have my first interview here with Dr. Asha Menon. I have known her for a very long time as a physician, and she's a wonderful physician at that. But she has stretched herself out of her comfort zone to write a book. So good morning, Dr. Asha Menon. How are you?
Good morning, and I'm very happy to be here, extremely happy to be here.
Good. Thank you very much. So what I would love to ask you first is if you can tell me what motivated you to write a book in the very first place.
What motivated me? Here's the thing, actually, I've always been a writer. I've always been an avid reader. I think before you start writing, you have to start reading.
Okay,
and
yeah.
you are an avid reader, somehow since childhood, I've been writing, and I've been writing a lot of short stories and things like that, and putting them in the garbage bag. And I have a whole manuscript, at least a whole manuscript of a garbage bag full of manuscripts, in fact.
Okay.
So the thing was that any free time I would get, I would write. Like if it was half an hour, 15 minutes, between singing and writing, these were the two things, the two hobbies which I had, apart from being a physician and treating patients and having a full-time job. So over the period of time, what happened was I started, reading these stories, and these were stories of real life problems, because these were the real life problems which I had written about, which I had seen, heard. So that's what I did. And one day I was so frustrated. I said, I have all these manuscripts and haven't done anything with them. So I was talking to a colleague of mine, and that day he said, okay, go home, just put the manuscripts, surround yourself with all your manuscripts and start writing. And when I surrounded myself, I did exactly that. I went home on my bed, I put all my manuscripts, which have been lying there for over years and years and years,
Wow.
And once I put that, what happened was, there were stories of marital problems. There were stories of sexual problems. There were stories of unhappy people. There were stories of depression, jealousy. There were all kinds of stories in this. And then I said, I must write this and I have to compile this. And that night I sat till 3 a.m. and something happened. I took stories from everywhere. I mixed, matched, did all that and started writing, and it flowed through me, actually.
Wow.
I finished my first manuscript in 3 days.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Wow, what a great story. So basically, through your work and dealing with people, what I hear you say is you grasped what people were saying to you in all these different issues, life, sex, relationships, jealousy, what all of us go through, and you compiling them into this new amazing book, right? So I mean, yes, you're working full time. You're a wife. You have 2 adult kids, but you're still involved with them. You're involved with your community. I know you sing, professionally, and you perform. I mean, I don't know how you find time to carve out and do all that you did with this book. How did you even do that? Blows my mind.
I think when you have an inclination or a passion for something, you find, in my dictionary, the word busy doesn't exist. I don't feel ever I'm like busy enough that I don't have time for anybody. No, I have time for my friends. I have time for my family, and I have time for these vocations which I pursue, So what matters is how much time do you want to distribute to each of them?
Very true.
With family, it's not the quantity, it's the quality time you spend. I always told my friends and other people, it's a quality time you spend. When I was working during my residency, I would come home late, right? And then I would spend that half an hour with my children on either side, of me, and then play with them and things like that. So it's the quality time you spend with family. You don't need to spend an entire day with them. No, you don't. So, and then after they went to sleep, I could write, or I felt like writing, so I would write. So, and, so that is how you manage these things. It's also about focus. Like you have to be focused, whatever you're doing at that time, you focus yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do that well. So that way you don't have to worry about anything else. So I spent like 3 hours a week singing. I do writing in between, like, every half an hour, 15 minutes, even if I get time, like if I get a thought in my brain, we are always thinking, right, as human beings. I go home and put it down. And that
Yeah.
means a book, but that's just journaling.
Right, exactly right. So I know now, listening to you, why you would come up with the name Tame the Mind, because to you, music and writing was a way that you grounded yourself. You were in peace. You were working on your passion. And I so believe that if you work on your passion and you fill your own cup with doing things you love, then you have so much more to give others. So you may not have been home full time, but I know I've spoken to full-time moms who are completely drained. So just because you have the time, like you said, it has to be quality time. So I completely agree with you. And it's just so nice to know that being full-time and having all these other things come at you, you still carved out time so we can enjoy reading this first book that you put together. What advice would you be giving listeners who are going to be watching this later, who are trying to step outside their routine or follow a passion, like you said, or a dream, who they think is just not possible, it's not for them? What would you recommend?
See, a few things actually. One is you have to know where your strengths are and where your weakness is. That's very important. Once you know where your strengths are, then keep honing those strengths. Gather as much information as you can about those things. And the reason for that is when you gather more information, like even publishing for me, publishing a book, I didn't know anything about publishing. I don't know anything about formatting a book, leave alone anything, even the Word document, everything was new to me because I hardly ever used it. You use
Right.
the computers as a physician or the EMR as a physician, but that's about it. So learning formatting, get as much information as you can. YouTube is full of information, get all the information, understand where your strengths lie and where your weaknesses are.
Yeah.
Like I have to give an example between singing and writing, which is my strength. I knew that singing, I could sing for, here and there, but writing is giving expression, giving my voice a chance, or for people to know, you know, to give something to meaningful for people to understand, that's what it was. So those are one of the few things. The other most important thing is never compare your journey with somebody else's journey. Don't do something because somebody else is doing it. Don't do something because somebody else has reached somewhere with that. You cannot, your journey is your journey and it's very personal. Do
So
not
true.
contrast yourself, because when you compare and contrast yourself with somebody else, you can be inspired by them. You can say, okay, I can reach that, but their emotional quotient, their IQ, their upbringing, their thought process is very different from what yours is. And don't assume that even though they have reached there that they are happy. Don't assume that. So everybody goes through their own struggles, right? So the one thing I would like to tell people is do not compare and contrast. Voice your own authentic self. And that's very important. I think voicing your own authentic self is one of the most important things that you can uh, do to yourself. And otherwise, you're humiliating your uniqueness. You're humiliating yourself more than everybody else humiliating. When you see something out there which is like beautiful and you are not that person and you feel bad about it, you're actually humiliating what God created you. I mean, your own self. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind. And I think follow your path, follow your journey, follow your passions, of course, but don't try to reach that epitome of success, because success can vary for different people. It may be money for some people, but not necessarily money. It could be just putting your voice, you're expressing yourself, and that's enough sometimes. So follow your path, follow your journey, do not compare, get as much information as you can from everywhere to pursue what you want to pursue, and be authentic.
Yeah, thank you. I absolutely agree with all of that. That is really nice. I know I have read the book, so I certainly don't want to give out any spoilers. But since you are the author, I would love to know if there is a little trinkle, a little juicy, excerpt you want to read to get the readers curious so they can go right out and buy the book. I am going to share in the chat, or maybe Dr. Menon, you can share in the chat before we leave, the link where they can buy it on Amazon. I know it is available. And maybe your work email if anybody has any questions that they want to ask you directly. If you're open to that, I would have that as well. Maybe there's another budding writer who would love to chat with you. The whole purpose of Strength Through Sisterhood, like I said, there's everybody here with different gifts and different talents, and by me doing this every week, no matter what the profession or talent is, I want to bring that out, and I want to encourage the rest of us that we can all do this. We can all empower each other and be our authentic selves. So I really, really want to thank you. And before we leave again, if you can give a little excerpt or something to entice us about the book.
This is
Yes,
my
I have my copy as well.
And this is available on Amazon.com. It's Tame the Mind. If you just type this and write An Exploration of Love, Sex, and Happiness, the book is available. And okay, I just opened this page. If you want, I can read it. But I can tell you something. You asked me what is the substance or juicy part of it. I think every part I have described is varies because I am talking about relationships. I'm talking about rejection, how it affects the other person. I talk about a love affair. I talk about adultery. This book is not just meant to be a novel in the classical sense of the word. It's a novel, but I have tried to analyze a lot of things here, like why people behave the way they do. Why is there adultery? Why is there, because men and women don't understand each other. And so that's what leads to sexual problems. So I've tried to address those problems. Why there is so much unhappiness? Why is there depression? What is depression? All these kind of things, jealousy, possessiveness, purpose of life. I was at one point thinking, what is my purpose of life? Is it to be a good doctor? Is it to be a good mother, a good husband, wife? Or is it to be a good writer? I couldn't figure it out. And then through this book and my own understanding of my own self and other people, I've put in certain things. And I want people to understand one main thing. If they don't take anything out of this book, one thing is that there is beauty in an ordinary life. What has happened is over a period of time, we have been chasing and chasing and chasing wealth and chasing so many other things, out there, because we are surrounded and bombarded by advertisements and television and things like that. So that ordinary life, that simple life, which I was told to live, the simplicity of life, as growing up, I wasn't raised in a village, but I used to go to my village very often. And that simplicity, just getting up in the morning, going and praying, and, those simple things we've forgotten somewhere. So I think those are the things which I have addressed through my book. That's why it's called Tame the Mind, and exploration of love, sex, and happiness. And I would like everybody's comments too on that book, and you asked me to read something, so I can read. I think
if you want, if not, you can leave it up to the readers to find out for themselves.
That's fine too. So, I'll just, why is the present never enough for mankind? Were we just tuned that way? Were our brains wired never to feel enough? That's just a little bit. But I'll just read the first part. Just a sentence, that's all. The first chapter starts with the rejected husband. Neil entered his white picket-fenced house, shoulders slumped on his tall, broad frame, briefcase in one hand, the evening shadow following him as he dragged his legs along the long, curved driveway. Fumbling for keys, he looked at his mansion with its 3-car garage and immaculately manicured gardens located in the posh suburb of Warren, New Jersey. He felt no joy as he opened the front door and entered his home. Sonia, his wife, looked up, smiled at him, and went back to chatting with her friends on the phone. So that's a little bit. So, I start with rejection and the feeling of rejection and how it affects the marriage and things like that. And then, go on from there. And yeah. And
I think you've given the readers a lot to get curious about, and I'm sure they're going to hop on. And I know I bought my version on my Kindle, so I'll always have it. But whichever way you want to buy it, you can buy it today. And the only thing I want to leave us with is that, these are tough times. 2020 has not turned out for the entire planet the way anybody had ever dreamt. So it is pushing all of us into directions, into, figuring out what is going on outside of us, outside in the world, outside of our little bubble that we live in, our town, our state, our country, and also what's going on inside of us. What are we fighting? What are we trying to deal with? And I think this is just a really good time, like you said, for people to get back to basics, to figure out what is all the extra stuff I don't need in my life that I can let go of, and just work on what is very important to me, the relationships that are important, the work that is important, what are my true values that I have forgotten because I have been trying to gather all this stuff, material wise and otherwise. So I think it's a really good time for us. And I just want to end saying that I really had a great time, a lot of fun with you, Dr. Menon, this morning. And any last comments before you go?
I think, yes. I mean, COVID has leveled us all. I don't wish it again, and I hope it goes away fast, because I know people are getting restless and people are getting, but at the same time, it's kind of leveled the playing field. This book I wrote before the COVID, but I had to publish it just as the COVID started, because I couldn't wait for a publisher and another 1.5 years, only because you don't know what is happening, what is happening around you. You don't know, there's no guarantee to life itself,
Exactly right.
So I just wanted to do it. And I did it before, as soon as COVID started, I said, no, this is it, I'm going to publish it. So, fortunately or unfortunately, I had to do that. So I did it. Now, here's the thing with COVID, it has been a leveler. It's made us understand what are the most important things. And I always said, and even in this book, if you have food on your table, if you have a roof on top of you, and if you have a few clothes, a few friends, and and a happy family, I think you're good. You're good, you're successful. So please do not chase everything else in the world, for success. Not that you don't need money. You can work for money. You can, you don't have to be greedy about it. You can work for it. You can, but
right. That's right. Money is wonderful to have, for sure, but money is not equal happiness. And I think we've all heard that over and over. So thank you again. Let's tune in next week for our next guest speaker. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. Again, she is, welcome. Please drop in the chat your email address, if you will, Dr. Menon. If you look down in the chat button, you can leave your email. Everybody should know my email by now. And again, share this video. Anybody who you think would benefit from listening to it, buying the book, and join in, engage. This is what makes, you feel close at times like this when we're all isolated in our own homes. So sending out love, sending out hugs to all my sisters. Take care. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Do you think I can put it now? Or
are you putting it now? I will wait a second.
Yeah, I'm putting it now.
I see that. Tame the Mind 360@gmail. Excellent. What else are you writing, Dr. Menon?
Link.
Oh, sure. Exploration of love, sex, and happiness. Something we all need in our lives. And the link is on Amazon, like you said. If you go to books and write Tame the Mind and you type in her name, the book will pop up. it was easy, 1, 2, 3 when I bought it. You can either download it or, you know, have it shipped to your home if you have bookshelves waiting to be filled. All right, Amazon, I guess that is their link. All right.
Yeah.
For anything else you need to add?
I'm just going to add one more link and then we're done.
Okay, sounds good. Another quick thing, if there are any topics you guys want to discuss, you know, send me a PM or write it in the group. So I will be happy to bring those, you know, sisters on so we can have more fun, more heart to heart, more learning, more sharing, more laughing. So please welcome all suggestions. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.